So here's a little graphic of, because time is of the essence here. Time is the key variable in schools for teachers and administrators. We don't want to waste a minute. So here's a graphic of a scale model of the traditional model of teacher evaluation. About 30 minutes for the pre-observation conference, about 45 minutes in the classroom, taking a lot of notes, a couple of hours to write it up, more in some districts like Chicago where it's the extensive evidence is asked for, and then the pre-observation, post-observation conference. So that's 4 hours. Here is one mini observation drawn to scale. Approximately 10 minutes in the classroom, approximately 10 minutes for the conversation later that day, the next day perhaps, and then usually in the late afternoon, maybe even the evening, but 10 minutes for the short write-up. So that's half an hour. So in the same 4 hours that this administrator spent with the traditional thing, a different administrator over a period of days can do actually 8 mini observations. There's really no comparison here in terms of the opportunity for coaching, the opportunity for learning, the opportunity for appreciation, affirmation, the opportunity for just good conversations about teaching and learning. There is no comparison here. I'm not saying that the traditional thing is a complete waste of time, although often it is. But if talking in terms of an administrator's time, every minute counting, look at the comparison there. You've been in 8 different classrooms. You've had 8 conversations. Teachers have gotten 8 write-ups compared to 1. Each one focused on only one coaching point. I think this graphic really tells me how powerful this approach is if it's done well. So let's address these worries. Okay, not enough time. You can see a heck of a lot in 10 minutes. And usually you have to play a video to convince people of this or actually make a classroom visit. You'll see a bad moment? Sure. Okay, everyone has bad moments, but in 10 observations, that's only 1 out of 10. So it's going to balance out. You'll disrupt my class. Well, guess what? When you do this a lot, the kids get so used to it that they even ignore you when you come in, which is kind of insulting. But but kids don't even look up in most classes where this is happening. The gotcha? No. Now we're going to see the whole picture of your work here. And with the conversations, gradually you'll be reassured about this. We're going to talk every time. So you will have a chance to explain something that you thought I might have misunderstood. Something we can do without the pre-observation conference, and even Madeline Hunter, the great Madeline Hunter, wrote an article in 1986 saying the pre-observation conference is not a good use of time. Much better to get into a classroom and then talk about it, and to look at unit plans, because unit plans are the bigger picture. What are you looking for? Well, my old way of looking at this was SOTEL. The 5 things I think administrators should have in the back of their heads are safety. Is it safe in here, psychologically, physically? What are the objectives? That's the O. What's the purpose of this lesson? How's the teaching going? That's the T. E is for engagement. How engaged are the kids? And you can see that pretty well in 10 minutes. And then learning. What's the evidence of learning? Checks for understanding, exit tickets, student writing, looking over their shoulders, and even chatting with kids. So that's what what I advocate is actually a shorter version of that, which I mentioned earlier, which was just what's the purpose, how's it going, and what's the learning. Don't trust your judgment. Well, actually, I'm on a learning curve too. I'm not perfect, and I'm willing to be humble about this. Equity, I really think the administrator should make a promise, that everyone's going to have the same amount of these. You won't keep it up? Well, it's my goal. It's my personal goal. I'm going to try to do 10. And again, in most schools, it comes down to about 2 a day. Given the ratio of about 27 teachers to an administrator, which is fairly common, if you do the math, it's about 2 a day. And that even allows for some days where you don't do any at all. And then the fairness issue, most people are convinced, and I do anonymous clicker questions on this, that 10 unannounced visits with conversations and feedback is actually much more accurate than the traditional system. So people can be convinced of this. Okay.